Welcome back to Module 4, and you folks are still the champions of the boot camp here as we go through our grant writing MOOC. In this module, we're going to look at a number of objectives. First objective will be to look at how do we assess our options or the options based on the grant maker's decisions after we've heard back from the grant maker. We'll also look at how do we identify the grant administration reporting criteria from the agency if we've been successful. And as we go through to do our project, how do we identify any necessary revisions to the project based on some of the commitments we have to that grant agency? And also, the last session that we'll look at will be to describe how we finalize our grant applications. So let's begin with 4.1 and how do we assess our options of the grant after the grant maker's decision? Well, we don't have the ability in most of these to go back and change the grant maker's decision, so the grant maker usually has a few decisions that they can make. One is they can give us the full amount of the grant that we had asked for within our budget or as we did our proposal. They may turn around and say, yeah, we'll support your project, but we're going to give you a portion or a partial amount of the grant that you actually look for. Or they may turn around and say, look, we're not going to give you any grant at this stage to do that project. And if they say even we're not going to give you any grant, it may not be that you had a bad project. It may just be that with most of these grant agencies, they have a certain amount of dollars to give out, and there may just been that many other great projects that they had, and you may have still been a good one, but middle of the pack or somewheres and didn't make the top list for funding. So once we receive that information from the grant agency, even if it's still a full grant, we need to decide, well, do we still proceed with our project as we originally talked about? Some things I need to think about. Are there any changes that have happened since when we made that grant application? The timing of the notification with this, we may have been in a place where our grant application was to do a new playground somewheres, and we're going to build it in the summer, or it's some type of building or infrastructure that we're doing, and all of a sudden we can't do it now because we've missed that construction period or the time when we're going to be able to do it. It could be that one of the key leaders that we had to do that program or be our instructor or whatever is no longer available. They've maybe moved. They're not whatever. Particularly if we're dealing with volunteers who are going to lead some of our initiatives. So we need to be able to look at some of that stuff. Our grant or application may have been looking at a portion of grant or some type of grant from that program that we've applied for, but maybe there were some other funding sources that we were anticipating. Maybe they were some sponsor that we had previously identified, and all of a sudden now those type of things have fallen through. So we need to reassess just at our stage as an organization, do we have the abilities to still do the project as we talked about, based on the fact that now we have heard from the grant maker and some decision as to what it is that they're able to commit to. So really, it's we just need to make sure that because we got the grant or we didn't get the grant, we still may actually decide to go ahead with the project, but we need to be able to reassess that and determine where we go from here. Thank you, and next we'll be looking at kind of our grant administration and some of those reporting requirements.